Good morning. My name is Diana Patton, and I help professional women overcome challenges to use their voice and to advocate for themselves, for others, and the causes that they believe in to feel bold, courageous, and hopeful. I am coming to you with a very important message to talk to you all about going from surviving trauma and the challenges in your life to thriving through life. I speak to women and to organizations about what it means to overcome challenges and to really thrive, but to clearly identify if you have adopted a certain type of identity that's really just your survival of trauma or how you survived a challenge that's not working for you. And oftentimes we don't even realize that the identity that we have really become is a result of us surviving some of the most challenging situations in our lives. And we don't even realize that's what we're doing. How do I know that? Because I experienced significant trauma while growing up. And this trauma response, the way that I survived my trauma growing up, really became my identity. And I really experienced a triggering of this trauma when George Floyd was murdered. And I realized, I have some great practices that helped me when I was going through the trauma, coming out of the trauma, and those practices have served me well. But what I know after George Floyd was murdered and I went through this retriggering was there were some additional steps I needed to take. And thankfully, I hired a therapist and some coaches to help me get to where I am today. So I am overly excited to share with you over this month and for several weeks about how you too can go from just surviving trauma to actually thriving through life. And when triggering happens, you understand how to overcome it. So I want to give you the 4 ways that most people identify themselves through trauma. And I want you to listen to these 4 things and see which one are you, okay? So the first one, and if you're joining me live, I'm going through StreamYard, and I would love to, know who you are and to hear what you might have to say about today's broadcast. All right, so I will go through the private chat from time to time just to see who's here, but you might have to go through StreamYard so that I can know exactly who you are. So if you're watching this on the replay, I would love for you to add your comments as well. So let me just tell you the 4 ways that most people are surviving or surviving through trauma. Okay, so going from surviving through trauma. So the first one, fight. Most people are fighting, right? They're shadow boxing through life. I know this was me fighting. That's either you're fighting yourself and others, most often with your words. I mean, it's not like a lot of people are out there getting in fist fights. Most people are fighting and battling their own thoughts and their own ideas, and they're shadowboxing other people. Identify it. Is that you? Are you fighting yourself? Are you trying to go through life fighting? Some people are looking for someone to say something or do something so they can pounce on them, right? Because they themselves are fighting their inner self, their inner demons, things that are going on in their mind that says that we need to fight through life. And if that's you, I want you to know that's a trauma response. And you might be sitting there going, well, I know a few people who are like that. Well, that's why we need to figure out a way to help them, not try to coach them or tell them you're the fighter. This lady said that you were the fighter. There's a way that we can do that. So the first one is fighting. The second one is flight. You're running away from every single thing that is good for you. And sometimes it's bad. I want to share with you these trauma responses, these ways in which we've survived trauma. There is a natural thing about what we've been designed to do. It's natural for us to have this fight, flight, freeze, which I'm getting ready to go to in a second. And this other response, it's natural to have these responses, but when they become our identity, that's when we're consistently having issues. So the second one is flight. Are you running away from everything that's happening in your life? So that's the second thing. And I'm going to say for myself, that was a little bit of me. If something wasn't going right, or, if I felt like something was good, it's actually good for me, I would run away from it because that's what I've been trained to do. And that's why, for example, when I first got married, I got in a fight with my husband. The first thing I did was I left because that's what my brain told me to do, because that was the way to get rid of some of the issues in my life. The third thing that folks do is fawn. Okay. We people please. How many of you are that? If issues are happening in your life, some of the things that we've learned to do is to just people please. And if we people please, then we're going to be able to get through whatever we're getting through. Again, there's nothing wrong with pleasing people and being nice to them. But if this has become your identity, this is where the problem comes. The last one is freezing, going numb and doing nothing, where we just kind of lay flat, and we don't respond. There's so much research on the fight, flight response, and even the fawn response. Not a lot of research on the freeze response, except for when it comes to sexual violence and when people have been violated sexually. And there is significant research on specifically women who have been hurt through this traumatic experience. And a lot of them have just basically froze. And a lot of them don't speak. And you heard a lot of this when we had the Me Too movement. And a lot of people would just not say anything until years later. And that's because they're in the freeze response. So I want to be able to share that with you because for me, I went through a little bit of the freeze response after George Floyd was murdered. And I found myself just numbing out and not being able to move forward. So you either have the flight, fawn, or freeze. Again, all four of which are naturally to help you to get your body to move from one situation or the next when it's feeling under attack. But oftentimes that becomes our identity. So which one are you? Are you the flight? Are you the fawn? Are you the freeze? Or are you the fight? Which one are you? Now, if that's become your identity, how can we shift that? How can we go out of this constant feeling like we got to, be responding this way and feel like we can get into a normalized way of being and living? You guys know what I'm going to say. If you follow me long enough, what am I going to say? We have to begin to establish a daily practice that gets us into a heightened level of self-awareness so that we can identify what's going on in our lives, to identify which one you are even. What do I mean by establishing a daily practice? That means taking time first thing in the morning, because you guys know I'm all about the morning practice. Giving yourself time in the morning before you go into your daily activities, before you start your day. Give yourself 20 minutes, a 20-minute window, 30-minute window, even an hour. And what are you going to be doing during this time? You're going to be spending time analyzing what's going on in your thoughts. One thing that I love that I've been doing here lately is Dr. Caroline Leaf's book called Switch on Your Brain. And she has what's called the 21-day detox, the 21-day brain detox. And basically, you're going through some questions to help you identify how your body is feeling, what you're thinking, and your thoughts. And so, what I am going to be suggesting is that you could either do the 21-day brain detox or another favorite book of mine, and I'll make certain I put this in the notes. Another favorite book of mine is called The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod. And this basically gives you some steps that you can do in the morning. But the morning time is a phenomenal time for you to be able to check in with yourself, to do prayer, to do devotion, reading, to allow yourself to exercise and to journal and to write out what it is that you're feeling, what are you thinking, and what are you choosing, and what are you going to be visualizing for yourself. This is such an important thing for you to do. So I just want to leave you with that message. And I want to share with you how very important it is for you to identify these things for yourself. So what we talked about, just as a recap, is there are 4 ways that people have survived trauma. And that's the flight, fight, freeze, and fawn response. Identify which one are you. And then I want you to start to establish your daily practice, getting up first thing in the morning time, putting down time to start to go through this awareness process. Now, I'm going to be starting to break down all of these steps over time, but I just want to be able to give you this information so that you can begin to do the work for yourself. So I want to let you know that if you don't want to go it alone and you want an opportunity to connect with other people, to connect with me, I want to invite you to join our Facebook group. It's a private group called Women Who Rise and Advocate. If you are a woman who's looking to rise and advocate for yourself and for others, you want to join this private Facebook group. The second thing I'm doing for the month of June, because it's my birthday month, I want you to join the weekly text messages that people are getting. I've been sending them out since 2018 called to allow you to be inspired and encouraged first thing in the morning at 7 a.m. Just send hashtag DP Inspires to 567-229-4063 for weekly text messages every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 7 a.m. I've been doing them for 2.5 years, and so many people have been getting great responses from it. So I hope that this has been helpful to you. If you would like to connect with me in any other way, you can follow me on Instagram and Facebook and on LinkedIn. All right, thank you so much. And I look forward to connecting with you again. Have a wonderful day.